Holy banger play-ins. This is Flight Check, Season 5, Episode 20. After a exhilarating weekend, full of either a full 5-game set or a 3-0 sweep, the MSI bracket has been set. BLG, to no one's surprise, cleanly makes it on through, and G2 struggles their way out of play-ins. FlyQuest will be taking on Anyone's Legend Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, the bangers begin. I believe it'll be Gen G and G2 first. Yes, this is correct.
Yeah, Gen G, G2, then us, and then you got a double matchup on Thursday with BLG Koi and then CFO versus T1.
Yeah, no rest for the weary. G2 getting right after it. Yeah, maybe they'll just be fresh. They'll be really warmed up.
I was joking with my wife. It's like, man, like, have you guys seen the meme that was going around on Twitter of like, man, I can't believe we just made it through China. It's like, that was Brazil. Like, that was like G2 basically. Like, that's literally like what's happening again. Is like, man, we can't believe we made it through all these hard matches. Like, well, that was Vietnam and Brazil, and now you get to play number 2 or number 1 Korea. Right. So have fun with that.
With only 1 day of rest / probably scrimming. Like,
I'm happy to announce that along with thousands of other people, I am tied for first on the global Pick'ems leaderboard. Not only that, though, I am also tied for first in the Nox War Pick'ems leaderboard, along with 3 other fortunate individuals who, by hook or by crook, managed to predict things correctly. It's going to be a great rest of the tournament. I think it's already been fantastic. I'm very excited. Some introductions are in order. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes. To my left, Noxcat making an appearance, and Curly Double Q. Fellas, BLG, not a lot to talk about there. Pretty clean stuff from them. The GAM storyline, fascinating. The Furious storyline, also fascinating. The G2 storyline, maybe the most fascinating of all.
I was going to say, it's still fascinating.
Still fascinating. So much to talk about with these play-ins. We're gonna kick it off with a favorite segment on the show. We're gonna do one big thing. And Noxcat, I'm gonna ask you, what's your one big thing to take away from play-ins so far? What's he saying there, Nox?
Wait, did you actually hear him? He just meowed.
Oh, did he? Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, he actually did.
You know, I'm going to choose to interpret that as not enough Yumi in draft, and, your opinion is heard and rejected, Noxcat.
It's okay. We still love you, but yeah, I'm gonna speak for you now in this case, buddy. That was the wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly. Nox, what's your one big thing?
My one big thing, I think, is G2 just looks a lot worse than I expected them to look. I knew they didn't look great, especially after the MKOI, but I figured, like, hey, against Brazil versus Vietnam, like, I figured these were, like, scenarios where maybe they would take a game because, like, Vietnam or Brazil would maybe just, like, have a massive early game, and it's just like, okay, you blew open the early game and you can close it out from there kind of situation. But no, these were, like, full-blown best-of-5 series where each game was, like, maybe not necessarily close in every single one, but, like, they were competitive in every single way, right? And so it's just, for me, that's just screaming that G2 is not ready to hit the main stage. They are far and away the weakest team coming into the main stage right now, which is crazy to say about G2. I never thought that'd be something I would say about G2 as an org, but as a hater, I love it personally.
Yes. As somebody who picked G2 in both your pick'ems and the Riot pick'ems, I was happy that they won, but also as a G2 hater, I was bitterly disappointed that they did not complete the crash out and go to airport, as the GAM manager said G2 stands for. Curly,
I was preying on their downfall.
Yeah,
for
thoughts
sure.
Thoughts on G2 from you, and then your one big thing as I step away very briefly.
Sure. I mean, the big thing is this is not what you think when you think G2. Like, that is a European team whose name carries some weight. And if you told someone from any other season that they barely made it through against Vietnam and Brazil, they'd think you're insane, because there's no way that could happen, right? But it happened. It did. They went a full 5 games, except for when they went 0-3 to BLG. So they're looking pretty rough. I think a lot of the weakness for me is kind of on the top side, particularly in the top lane. Mr. Broken Blade is focusing too much on the broken and not enough on the blade part of his name. Getting soloed quite often in the series against Furio, which I watched most of. But yeah, but then outside of that, I'd say like my one big thing is that minor regions need to be taken more seriously. I'm thinking like Brazil and Vietnam over the last years, like I've seen it happen where they've been stepping up, but they are consistently proving that they need to be taken more seriously. Because the fact that last Worlds, right, you had Gamma make it in through play-ins when some people wouldn't have expected it. You had Pain Gaming making it so close to the end. Like, you just had all this, and then once again, you go back to First Stand and CFO kicking out Team Liquid and just performing above that. Like, these regions, Brazil and Vietnam particularly, are really pushing themselves and need to be taken a lot more seriously. And I think there's a good amount of people who are taking them seriously. I think a lot of people are really hyped on them. I know I definitely am. But I think the one thing is, particularly with Brazil, I wish they could have gone a little farther, because I do think they deserve it. I know there's this weird, where everyone's really wishy-washy about why is Brazil there instead of C9? But based on what I've seen, is allegedly Furia's been on par with C9 in scrims and all that stuff. And so if C9 was in, they might have made it just as far. And then Brazil would have had no team to go there. And to take away such a passionate region would really, I think, actually kind of kill the fandom of League of Legends. Like, imagine if you were just in Brazil and you weren't able to see what just happened. It would be just very disheartening. So I think I'm really hopeful for the future of Vietnam and Brazil. And then more particularly, I want Riot to be able to figure out ways to kind of grow tournaments a little bit more so that you can still highlight these competitive regions without having to take away from North America, especially if we start climbing back up. Because I think we kind of tripped up in the last year. I don't know how much we truly would have earned that second title if we got it, but that's a debate that maybe might be better on like Hotline League or something, where it will get 1,000 views.
Yeah, I like the take about how, yeah, it's interesting, the Cloud9 to Furia comparison, and NA should have had a second seed here. And yeah, maybe you know, Cloud9 would have taken out GAM in that first losers bracket match, right? But it's not necessary, or you know, or maybe they would have beaten G2 in the first upper bracket, you know, like, sure. But I agree that Furia made a very strong case for, you know, being a strong team and showing that LTA South can really put it up when it counts. And I think there was a lot that they showed that I think has me actually very excited now for LTA finals in September.
Oh yeah,
where maybe those teams, now that it's not, the beginning of the season and no one knows how to play, I'd like to see Furia take on a Team Liquid. I'd like to see Furia take on Cloud9, take on FlyQuest. I want to see this. I think it's going to be... I think that'll be really exciting, and I'm more excited for it now that we've had this performance out of Furia.
I would say if you were to make a relative power ranking, Furia just very solidly put themselves into approximately the third best team in North America if they were to come to the LTA North.
Wow.
Like, that's how I feel about it right now. I think Cloud9 and FlyQuest are still better, but hey, man, like, you're legitimately, like, if this was a actual proper merge league, this team, like, is earning their spot to a Worlds competition if they were actually here. So I love to see it.
They would be a playoff team. They would definitely be... I can definitely see them as top 4. Like, I think they'd probably contend with Liquid, and they would probably have, like, a fierce rivalry with, like, Shopify and 100 Thieves. I think that's really realistic, and that makes me excited for the future of LTA, assuming that they keep this merged conference setup that we've got going. My one big thing is going to be the I really liked the friendly rivalry between the GAM manager TK and G2's Roman. I thought that was great. They had that little bet going. Loser of the series was going to wear the other's jersey to the press conference. I think TK now has to wear the full kilt getup for their first LCP series when LCP resumes as part of losing the bet. But I think the passion shown by the GAM fans, the passion shown by GAM themselves, like, really, like, in some ways, yes, they were a bit of a vibes team, but, like, in a they were able to back it up with play kind of way. And man, what could have been for GAM if they had a mid laner?
That's literally what I was thinking just now.
If they had a single mid laner on this team, what could have been? What could have been for GAM? So I hope that they return, that they make it to Worlds. I'm about to go look and see what there will be 3 LCP teams from Worlds, or 4 Worlds. So you could have Flying Oyster, Talon, and
GAM.
Man, I think that would be a very solid...
That would be spicy.
That would be a very solid triple combo from the LCP. That would be, that'd be hot stuff for sure. Because we all know Chiefs Esports Club is not making it. That's for sure. Anyway,
Oof.
Yeah, rip Os. Rip Os. All right, let's do a little plans review now. Let's quickly hit on BLG. A team that had struggled during the regular LPL season comes in, and I forget, it might have been Bin said it in an interview, but they really were, and it looked like it, they really were looking to use this time in play-ins as a warm-up. Getting warm, getting ready, getting the nerves out on stage. Certainly did not look like there were nerves. I will say GAM did give them a bit of a run in that very first game. But the classic, if you give an Asian team an inch, they will take the full mile. And GAM just made one too many mistakes.
That's kind of how it was in game 1 versus G2 as well, right?
Yeah.
They made the one mistake, and G2 almost punished them for it, but then... I think G2 obviously overstepped a little bit, but I mean, I think if you really want to strike against BLG, you need to do it on game 1 when the iron's hot, and then you better roll with it. Otherwise, they're going to roll you.
Yeah. And, They're going to go up against Movistar Koi in the first round, so we'll see how that goes. That should be interesting for sure. And we'll talk about bracket stage in a bit. But anything stand out to you guys about BLG, besides their obvious dominance in this? The only team to have, they 3-0'd both their series, and every other series in play-ins went to the full 5. So some absolute dominance coming out from them.
The problem is I just don't have time to watch LPL, and I'm not getting up late to watch LPL, so I don't really know how they've been punished in the LPL. I don't know what things to take away from them. So, like, going into this, I'm really just kind of leaning on the fact that they just looked really good. They looked clean. There was a couple, like, little oopsies here and there, but it wasn't, like, anything super egregious. It was kind of the other team just making a good move. I really want to say the thing to look out for in BLG going forward is just really make sure you get your setups right. If you get your setups right on objectives, you have a chance. You do have a chance. But I mean, outside of that, though, the way they just absolutely roll over you in all these fights that I saw versus GAM as well as G2, I don't even know how you deal with this team right now, man. Yeah. But I'm sure we'll find out later on down the line when they face other Asian teams, right?
Yeah, when they face Genji, right?
Yeah.
or when they play T1 later this week.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Or, hey, maybe Jojo Pune will shock us all. Curly, any thoughts about BLG from you before we talk about some of the other banger matchups?
I mean, they're just obviously looking like a very dominant team, considering they went perfectly undefeated in the entire play-ins, being the only team to not have go full 5. So it's like not only they cemented their spot for the main stage of this tournament. I'm really looking forward to round 2 against T1 because I think that'll really help us try to expose what might be their weaknesses. But overall, I'm pretty sure I said it last week as a meme, but I do unironically think that they are the favorites to win this tournament. I believe in play-ins buff and internationals, it does help. And then I just there's just something about them, they've got an aura about them. I think they're gonna take it all the way and earn that 4th seed for the LPL at Worlds this year.
Yeah, I think lots to come from BLG. I'm fairly certain. All right, we'll start from the bottom up. Furia, 2 absolutely banger best of 5s. Put G2 to the brink. And then also brought GAM to the brink. We talked about it a little bit already. Nox, I do want to get your take on Furia here, as I think it was mostly me and Curly talking about it. But this team really has shown up. And I know before the tournament started, you were talking about Gigo as a guy to look at. I don't know, to me, it was hit or miss from him. It's kind of like how there used to be that joke about 369, and he would either roll a 3, a 6, or a 9 when he played. That was kind of how it felt to me, that Gigo either rolled a 9 or he rolled a 3. And there was no, in between. He was either on it or he was just getting absolutely slapped around.
I think the better way I'd put it is he just massively choked. Because I think if you watch as the series progresses, especially game 1, you can tell he was not feeling himself too much. Yeah. But then he still punished the Warwick, obviously. But as the series went on, especially in the middle of the series, games 2, 3, and even somewhat to an extent 4, he was really, really good. Both game 5s though, he sucked. I cannot sugarcoat it. He sucked. And so I think my big thing is he has the potential to be a really, really good top laner. I think he would actually fit in great in the LTA North. But you got to fix the nerves, and that may be a coaching thing. That may just be a needs more experience thing. Because this is his very first time on the international stage, right? So if you fix his nerves and you help him really check in and lock in on those game 5s, I think this is a whole different story that we're having. I think they end up beating G2 in that first round, and even if they don't, then they beat GAM the next round. I think they can absolutely run it back against G2 in the lower bracket. I really do think that it's just a matter of he just was choking on like the back ends of those series, and it really like if he had a coach or a sports psychologist there to help him through it and just like help him like really zone in, lock in, I really do think there's a world where we see Furia actually in the bracket stage right now.
Or if he also didn't use Gnar as a crutch in Game 5.
Gnar was probably one of the worst Gnars I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's well, because it didn't win a single game this weekend, whether it was the Game 5s from Furia or Game 1 from Gam against G2. So right now, Gnar, even though it is the top lane crutch, because you're like build rage, hop in, alt, job done, doesn't seem like it's the play right now. I think Game 5 is better for more creative play. So if he can really take the summer to figure out different champions to hold in his pocket for Game 5, I think he might be able to look better and maybe temper those nerves that you mentioned he seems to be having.
Maybe. Yeah. At the end of the day, I still have a lot of faith in him. I think he's someone that you should keep an eye on down in the South. I do absolutely think we'll see him up here in the North in the playoffs, and so I'm very excited for him, and I'll be curious to see him play again, especially against North American teams. As for the rest of the team, I think the mid laner, Tuts. Oh yeah, because it's Tatu and Tuts. I thought Tuts was a standout player. I was very happy with how he was playing. IU and JoJo looked like they needed a lot more experience. They had a couple of different mess ups, and then I think Tatu in general was probably like my most invisible player, despite being the jungler. So I think, yeah, Guigo needs to lock in. I was very happy with Tuts in general. I need Tatu to be a little bit more forward and like show a little bit more agency in general. I don't really remember him a lot in his 2 series. And then I think IU and Joju have really good potential, but they just made too many mistakes. And I think that just comes with experience. So they should be okay in the long run. So that's kind of my general thoughts on Furia. I was very pleasantly surprised with them. They took far more games than I ever expected them to. They took 4 games in total. I think I was really willing to give them like 1 at the start of the tournament before the tournament started, and I figured that would be versus Gam. Said they took 2 games off of G2 and took 2 games off Gam. Like, that's great. Very, very thrilled for them. Love to see the improvement from Brazil, and I hope they carry it forward coming into the split 3 and possibly even Worlds.
Yeah, I really hope that this team returns to Worlds, or returns to international play at Worlds. I think one of the things that has always bothered me with minor regions is when, and I think you saw this especially in Brazil. You used to see this a lot in Turkey as well. Even you saw it in OS a little bit. Obviously, a lot of these regions are gone now, but like you would have these minor regions where there was no like one absolutely dominant team, and then like different teams would like show up at MSI to then versus Worlds, and so you never really got like a consistent team that was showing up to international tournaments. The only one that basically would for the longest time was from Japan. You know, Detonation Focus Me was there at almost every international tournament coming from Japan. I don't think I would call LMS or PCS, whatever they were, for the longest time, a minor region, but you did have Flash Wolves was there every year. Then, you know, PSG Talon was there all the time. And so, like, I think, you know, it's important to be able to send not just, like, different teams, you know, like a monkey fight, you know, during the regular season, and then someone emerges victorious and they get to go to Worlds and get slapped around by the top teams. But, like, you consistently send the same team or the same players to international tournaments. I really hope Furia comes back, shows up at, you know, for LTA South and even at LTA Finals, and punches another ticket to international play. I think it would be so good for them, and I think in the Swiss format, I think some really interesting stuff could happen from them. So, yeah.
Because it's best of ones in the first 2 rounds, so you never know.
Yeah.
Like they won game 1 against G2. Imagine if they do that again on the world stage. Like,
yeah.
That would be crazy.
Imagine they absolutely surprise and they like win 2 best of ones. Like they get the nuts draw, right? And they win 2 best of ones, and all of a sudden they have like 3 best of 3s to make it to bracket stage. You know, like that would be A, freaking insane, and B, absolutely cool. I would love that. So, yeah, this team really inspired me. I just need their crap. Which player was it? The guy who got his haircut inspiration from that one football player. Just don't do it again.
I think that was Tattoo. I could be wrong, but I think it was Tattoo.
Dude, like I get it. I understand. I appreciate it. Just no. Just no. Just no. So.
Luckily, hair grows back, so he's got a few months to fix this.
Yes, this is true. Hopefully, it'll be better by LT finals. All right. Any final thoughts on Furia before we move on?
You know, NA exports just keep giving stonks. That's all I'm saying.
It's true. Think card. Showing up.
Think
again.
card.
Making G2 sweat. GAM. Very exciting team. Like I said a minute ago, God, if they only had a mid laner, things could have been so much better for them. Nox, like, I don't know, like, where does GAM go from here? Because, like, it's not like they're going to make a mid lane change right in the middle of the season. I assume they're not going to do that.
Considering they already have 2 mid laners?
Considering they already have 2, neither one performed on the stage. Emo, basically, he would play game 1, and then he would sit out the rest of the series, and it would be Eris, and then Eris would look pretty bad, and it would basically take Artemis or Levi to carry them in any of their wins. Yeah, I just don't... Like, I want this team to succeed, but I'm just not sure what they can do besides, like, triple down on Levi or Artemis carry. What do you think?
I don't know what the logistics are behind having players boot camp in Korea or anything like that. Like, I don't know if they... I mean, if I remember right, Vietnamese players got kicked off of Korean servers a while back, so maybe that's also part of the problem, too. But really, I would just say, like, Emo, especially in my opinion, is the better of the 2 players, even though talking to some VCS/LCP experts, Ares has been like the best up-and-coming mid laner for quite a while from Vietnam. I would say Emo is far and away the better player right now, and I would love to see this man just go to a Korean boot camp. Like, I really need to just have him level up somehow, some way, because I don't think, from my understanding, there's not a lot of up-and-coming mid laners in Vietnam that are actually potential, like, starter spot taking kind of quality.
Yeah.
So you really just got to, like, train and level up and just really show your stuff. And I think Emo has the potential to do that, but I don't know how Vietnam goes about doing that. They don't have access to Korean servers. I don't know if they're got the financials to be able to, like, boot camp there or whatever it may be. But I think if you can just level up one of your 2 mid laners in some way, shape, or form, this team can be scary, man. It really, really can.
Yeah, I think this team is absolutely a team that could do something very interesting. They've just really got to step it up in the mid lane. Curly, how about you? Thoughts on GAM and where they could go from here?
I mean, really, it does just come to hitting the proverbial gym for the mid laners. It's like, because a swap out at this point, I think, would be way too risky. If you're already looking this good, you just need to develop what you've identified as your weak points. And so how can you push that? If you can't get on the Korean servers, then you need to figure out, like, how can you get tougher scrim opponents, or what can you do in this off season, or maybe, like, if you've got the time as a coach, like, can you identify what their weaknesses are and have them focus on it in their solo queue time? You know, that's really all you can do at this point, given what systems you might have available to you. But otherwise, you know, GAM is always a team that I am high on, and I'm glad that they keep affirming my hype on them every single international tournament that they appear, because they always look very entertaining and they always push teams to their limit, even if people might not expect it. Which at this point, if you don't expect GAM to show up, I don't know where you've been. You must be me watching League of Legends before 2020 in the way that it didn't happen, because you just would not know what's going on if you don't think GAM has a shot every time they appear. Because even if they don't look the best at all times, they will find their moment and they will seize it.
Yeah, I think I really want to see them come back. I would kill for the Flying Oyster, Talon, Gam triple combo out of.
I fear that would be legendary.
I think they would do. I think there'd be some serious damage coming from the LCP. I think they would knock out a couple teams that would really shock and surprise the audience writ large. Yeah, I think it would be good. All right. G2. This team, like, besides Caps, like, man, no one looked good. Han Sama disappeared. Broken Blade did not play well. Skumond was forgettable, and Labrav, I think, like more like Elbrav, because it was just not good stuff from them. Not from the team that we expect G2 to be. A team that built to win internationally, and they just did not show up. Now, of course, yes, they did make it to bracket stage, right? But right now, like, if you presume that the power level of the bracket stage teams is greater than the play-ins teams, and besides with BLG, of course, I really see this being, G2 gets clean swept by Gen G tomorrow, and then, they probably play us in losers, and we dumpster them. I really feel like that's how it's going to go for them, and they're just going to fly home having accomplished pretty much nothing. Curly, like, what's going wrong for G2 right now, in your opinion?
I mean, they've just been kind of trailing off. For one, I just was never much of a fan of the Labrav move. Labrav has always been, like, definitely up there as a support, but I don't think he's worth replacing Mickey X over. And I think a lot of this might be, like, just kind of lingering effects of how, I want to say, scuffed their off-season transition was last year, where they, like, approached Worlds, spent Worlds knowing they were going to lose 2 team members, which is a weird thing to recover from. And so I fear that might be, like, affecting the vibes behind the scenes and their ability to gel overall. I think Caps is in a bit of a low moment, because it really was either craps or claps this weekend. There was no in between. And so he needs to kind of get back into his rhythm, because he, I think, is a very good sign of how well G2 is going to be, because I'm not going to say he's always the one carrying the team. But if he's performing well, it usually is, like, has a positive correlation to the performance of G2. Yeah, they just kind of need a bit of a morale check. Maybe they need to start scrimming FlyQuest more. I mean, that's what fixed Shopify. So take advantage of your time while you're here in North America. Get that NA power boost. Only partially joking, because right now I unironically feel like we are a region, like, the teams that we've produced, at least in our top 2, and us and Cloud9, are better than the teams that are performing, like, playing in EU. So the ball's kind of shifted to our court, and they might want to take advantage of that while they're here. Now, that might sound blasphemous to some people, but I'm just calling the cards as I see it,
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Nox, what do you think about G2? What's going wrong for them?
I don't know, man. It just seems like everyone's individually underperforming. I really don't want to harp on it too long, because I do want to get to the main stage kind of a little bit. Like,
Yes.
in general, I think everyone's just kind of having underperformances individually. It, Broken Blade individually has not looked good. Skimon, again, as you said earlier, Sandy, has just kind of been invisible a little bit. You kind of had Claps moments. You kind of had Craps moments. I think in general, Caps is still your best performing member. Hansama's just been like, I don't even really know what to say about Hansama. And then Labrav's had some really dumb moments too, man. So I think more than anything, maybe these guys just need to take a step back. Maybe even take a day off of scrims, like literally, which seems kind of dumb. You're at an international tournament, you want to scrim against like these Asian teams, but I think you almost need to just like have a mental reset day, man. Like I hope they're taking the day off, and then maybe tomorrow morning they get like a quick scrim session just to get the like blood flowing, get the hands warmed up a little bit, and then you go on stage. And let's be honest, you're still gonna get smacked by Gen G. It is what it is, but hopefully, yeah, you kind of warmed yourself up a little bit, and you can go into and getting into predictions here a little bit, but you're probably going to end up playing FlyQuest, and hopefully you can go and play in FlyQuest a little bit better.
Right. Yeah, maybe things look a little better for you. When you get to lower brackets. All right, let's talk main stage, and I think it's time to. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of predictions basically to be had here. I think we can start basically with round 1. And I think there's a lot of presumptive, like, go to chalk kind of wins. So, we can see how that goes. But I don't know if any of you have, like, a different take on the bracket other than, like, what chalk would be. And chalk, of course, would be Gen G beats G2, Anyone's Legend beats Fly, T1 beats Oysters, BLG beats MKOI. And then presumably your lower bracket round 1 would be G2 versus Fly, and then Oysters plays MKOI. And that is basically that takes you through Saturday. So like round 1 is Tuesday through Saturday, and then round 2 begins on Monday.
See, I do.
That's not even true, because round 1 is lower round 1 is Friday, Saturday, and upper round 2 is also Friday, Saturday. So we will have 2 teams eliminated by Saturday night. We will have our winners final set, and we will have our losers round 2 matches set for Monday and Tuesday.
This is a speedy tournament.
Yes, it's fast.
Good. How it needs to be.
I do have to contest a little bit though. I don't think everything's going to chalk.
Okay, Curly, start us off.
Yeah.
Where are things changing? What's changing for you?
FlyQuest, dude. I'm telling you right now. We have not once had a chance to show how we can fare against China. And I think that this is the time. I think we're going to take the first shot, and we're going to shock everyone with how well we do against Anyone's Legend. I think we're going to make it to that round 2 against Gen G and have a nice salty run back of what happened in the bracket stage back at Worlds 2024. Now that is the only thing I don't think is going to go to chalk. I do think Gen G is going to stomp G2. I think CFO might put up a better fight against T1 than people would expect because of how T1 kind of clawed their way into this tournament. Still think T1's going to win that. And then MKOI, I'm hoping, I would love a surprise from that, but I do think with just what BLG just showed, that they're also going to have a very, very quick series against MKOI, and MKOI is going to have to fight their way up from the lower bracket as long as they can. Which would mean, obviously, G2 and MKOI can't face each other in the lower bracket, but would it be G2 versus AL, or would it be G2 versus CFO? I don't know how that works out.
I think it would still be G2 AL.
Okay.
Yes.
Which Yikes,
Yeah.
that would be rough for them.
Yeah, there is no flip on the first round
Okay.
lower
Okay.
bracket. So if you're looking at like the bracket, the top two losers will play against each other, and the bottom two losers will play against each other. It's not until you
Okay.
get to the flip where it's like round two winners. If you, in this case, theoretically, it would be like T1 versus BLG. The loser of that would go to the top bracket of the loser bracket, which would in
Okay.
the winner of like Fly versus the like in your scenario G2.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Man, that would be a rough path for G2 if you go from Gen G to anyone's legend after barely making it into the tournament. Terrible fate. Terrible fate.
That would be tough.
But then that would make it very spicy, because then that would mean in round 2 for T1 you'd probably have to do China back to back, which damn, also a rough fate. If that's what you're doing. So I really think now, in terms of likelihood, we have the best shot of upsetting, I think, out of anyone. And if we do that, I think that makes a very spicy scenario for the rest of the bracket stage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting match. I think anyone's legend is a team that you can surprise. I don't think that they have like the names on this team. They don't strike like the mechanical laning fear into my heart that like a Jackie Love or a Knight or a Ruler does. I think Bwipo's got a very interesting matchup versus Flandre. Shanks is going to be interesting for Quad to take on. The Inspired and Tarzan matchup, I think, is going to be fascinating to watch. That's probably my matchup to watch on this best of 5. But I actually feel okay about the Masu Busio bot lane versus Hope and Kale. I actually think that this could go FlyQuest's way. So I think this is legitimately a spot where FlyQuest could dump a lot of their money and prioritization in the bot lane and maybe get ahead. I think if you're going to beat AL, you got to either beat them through top or you got to beat them through bot lane. I think top is going to be harder, but bot lane I think is doable for FlyQuest. Nox, what do you think? Where are you on this FlyQuest versus AL debate?
So I actually, because I'm very hyped for this, I actually did take some time to go and look at some of AL's gameplay. I watched the BLG versus AL finals. And I also did take some notations from Cadril, who also gave his like MSI rundown on all the different teams. And so, and I kind of agree with him. Like the big thing that he highlights and what I noticed as well was like AL's biggest strength is that they love these just team comps that will come together all at once, man. Like we like just from all angles too. They're very good at pincers, and they're going to just zerg you down. Their whole idea is like we just go forward, and in some ways it's kind of refreshing, right? Like if you remember back in the early days of low sports, back in like the early 2014, 2015, where China was just like, man, we just want to fight. Like that was what LPL was known for. You had like LCK as this nice controlled macro style. And then you had LPL, which was like, we're just going to run you down. That's what they were known for. That's kind of the vibe I get from AL a little bit, is that they will just absolutely like, we flip the switch, you're going down. Simple as that. So with that said, the thing I really want to see from FlyQuest is I want to see takeaways of global ultimates. So I want to see Nocturnes take away or banned. I want to see Pantheons taken away or banned. I want to see like TF. I know has seen a bit of priority this tournament. I need to see TF taken away or banned, whatever it may be. But I think we need to have high priority on global ultimates. And then on top of that, I think if we cannot do that, I really want to see the ability to have massive peel comps in play. So I want to see things like Seraphine and Ash. I want to see things like Ivern. I want to see kind of like old style FlyQuest from last year where it was just, man, we can kite you out and we can just really draw these fights out. Because you want to go forward, that's fine. We'll play into it. You have to come into us, and then we're going to kite you out and we're going to win you through a attrition. So I think those are kind of my big win conditions. Is take away global ultimates if you can. If not, build peel comps to make it impossible for AL to really truly dive you. If you can do those two things, you absolutely have a way forward to win this whole matchup.
Okay, so what scoreline are you putting on this matchup then?
So 3-1 AL, baby. I gotta keep it realistic. And this is not to say that they're going to be stomps. I absolutely believe that FlyQuest will make them work for this.
Yeah,
it's going to be a struggle. It will be a slogfest. I actually feel really, really, really good about this matchup. But at the end of the day, this is the number 1 LPL team. They kind of made I know it was a 3-2, but they kind of made BLG look silly at certain points in their series as well. And if you're making a team like BLG look a little bit silly, I can only imagine that there's going to be some moments where they make us look silly too, right?
Yeah.
So, I actually do have faith in the guy. Like, I say I have faith, even though I'm predicting against them, but I really do have faith that there's a world where FlyQuest can win this. But my official pick'ems, they will have AL winning this 3.
Yeah, I think I also am going to wind up with AL in the 3-1, but I agree that I think it's going to be a close 3-1. There's a chance I wind up going AL 3-2, just with how close I think this matchup is going to be. But I think, and I know last week I was a little bit more down on AL, but just after seeing the way BLG just ripped right through GAM and G2, it was a good reminder of Asian teams' power levels to me, and so I recalculated a little bit, and I think I backtracked a little bit down to the AL 3-1. Curly, what's the series score that you're giving here for FlyQuest?
I'm going FlyQuest 3-2. We're gonna go all the way. We're going
He's got faith, baby.
I hope you're right.
Of course, I've got
and
faith.
I hope my pick'ems
of course
are
I've got faith.
Egregiously wrong. I really hope that's the case. All right, let's.
I am manifesting it.
Let's run through the other round 1 matchups. I think Gen G, G2, I've got Gen G on the 3-0. Clean sweep, an absolute slaughter, in my opinion. How about you guys?
Yep, Gen G 3-0. I'm not concerned about it. And in fact, I am not even watching the match tomorrow. I'm going to go play pickleball. I'm not even going to bother.
I think that's probably a safe thing to do. Get that rank up in pickleball. Get that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on the grind.
He's on that grind. Okay, then Thursday night is going to be Movistar Koi BLG, and following that, Flying Oysters versus T1. I'm gonna do 3-1 BLG and 3-1 Oysters personally. 3-1 T1 over Oysters.
All right, I was gonna say, hold on a second.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought I was crazy. I thought I was insane.
That was a misspoke. That was a misspeak. Knox, how about you? What are your call-outs for these series?
I'm going 3-0 BLG, and I'm going 3-1 T1. I think BLG, I don't know, man. The way BLG looked in play-ins, I don't see a world where even MKOI, as decent as they looked in Europe, I think, and I don't think it's going to be a stomp either way. I think it'll kind of be something akin to like G2 Game 1 versus BLG. But I just don't see them taking a game. I think it's just going to be a slugfest where BLG edges every single thing out, and it's going to be a 3-0 in that sense. T1 versus CFO, I think, will be a lot closer, and I think in general CFO have lots of good moments that look really, really good, and it'll be enough to take a game, but I think in general T1's just going to choke them out little by little, and that'll be the series for that.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how T1 does, but as always, it's like T1 at international events, they just turn it on. They always do. It's just how it is. I don't expect things to be any different. Curly, how about these two matchups? MPOI BLG, CFO T1.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree with Nox. I'm thinking 3-0 for BLG. They just look way too dominant. I don't think Koi's going to be able to get a game off them. They're going to have to, like I said earlier, claw their way up from the lower bracket. And I believe in their ability to make it far there as far as they can. But BLG is just going to really fast track their way to round 4 is what I see coming on the horizon. And T1, I think it's also going to be 3-1. Because, they do turn it on. They show up when it's international tournaments. But this is a CFO who caused like quite a bit of a stir back at the first stand tournament. And I mean, the fact that they made it here as the first seed shows that they didn't slow down. It wasn't necessarily a fluke. So I'm hoping they approach it with the same audacity and surprise everyone like they did back at first stand.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we're kind of locking in, except for Curly, who differs on the AL fly one, but we're kind of locking in the rest of it. Okay, so lower bracket, we're all predicting it's going to be Oysters versus MKOI. Where do you guys land on that matchup? I think that's a very interesting one, and
that is a very interesting matchup.
I'm going to take Oysters. I think, like, as good as K-Corp was at first stand, they were not good until they got to bracket. And I just generally think that EU is a fraudulent region these days. And I think Oysters is going to pound MKOI. Probably close. I'll say 3-2 there, but I think Oysters has that one. How about you guys?
I'm going to have to go with Koi on this one.
Okay.
The
divergence has begun.
The divergence has absolutely begun. I'm going to have to put my money on Koi because I think it'll be tighter. It's probably going to go like a full 3-2, maybe 3-1 situation. But I think they're really ready to show up. I think they the perseverance they had to show through their kind of rocky split 2 to then turn around and win it all. I'm hoping has really made them step up while they've been preparing for this tournament. But then also, like, JoJo's on home turf, dude. He made it back home, and he's in Canada. He's not even like just here in the US. No, he is in Canada. He is home. I think he's going to really step up with that energy, and especially if they get knocked down, depending on how it is, they're going to want to bounce back. They're going to be hungry. So they're making it to that second round.
Okay, Nox, how about you? Oysters MKOI. Where do you think that's going?
I've been waiting. I'm even staring at my pick'ems right now on the LoL Esports website, and it's the one I've been stuck on this whole time. I think I'm going to have to go with MKOI for a lot of the reasons that Curly said as well. I think JoJo's back in his hometown. He's going to have kind of that hometown buff a little bit. I think in general, Merwin in the top lane is a very frustrating player to play against with all of his different picks that he can bring out. He's kind of Whippo in a sense in that regard, where he can whip out a bunch of different weird picks. He's very frustrating to play against. And I think in general, I think, and this is very minor, but I do think it plays a little part in it, but like CFO had a somewhat decent look at first stand because it was in Korea, which is a shorter flight away and less time spent traveling compared to going from Taiwan to Canada, which is a far further flight. There's a lot more jet lag. There's a lot more energy taking place, different food, different culture kind of sort of thing. So not to say there isn't different culture from Taiwan to Korea, but it's far different than what it is from like Taiwan to Korea, you know? So all those like kind of are factors that I'm kind of taking into account here as well. So I think with all that said, I gotta lean MKOI. I am going to go 3-2 though, because I think CFO is very, very good. But yeah, MKOI 3-2.
All right. Well, the bracket is shaping up. So we've all got T1 BLG. I have BLG in this one.
I do too.
Curly, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Curly, you would have the Gen G FlyQuest run back. I would have, and Nox would have Gen G versus AL. Either way, I'm still taking Gen G. They're just so dominant.
Yep.
Undefeated in Korea. I just don't see it going any other way, no matter who they play.
Let's see, round 2 upper final, or like round 2 winners matches are Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Friday
and Saturday.
Okay, Friday, Saturday. So on the show,
the Gen
right
G
now,
match would be on Friday.
Yeah.
Gen G would play on Friday if they beat G2.
So I will be changing this in my pick'ems, but I'm saying right now, I do think we lose out to Gen G. I will be high on us beating AL and switch it because, of course, I'm always going to predict Fly.
Right.
But I'm telling you right now, realistically, Gen G probably wins this. It's going to be close if we're the ones facing them, but they probably win. And that's fine because we'll just have to meet them again in round 4 of the finals, and then we'll really take them down. But yeah, I do think it's Gen G.
Nox, how about you? Gen G AL. We have Gen G, yes.
I do have Gen G. Yep.
And then you said you have BLG over T1.
Yep, and then I got Gen G over BLG.
I completely agree there. So Nox, so
I
far
completely
you and I
disagree there.
Are on the same page. So okay, going down to lower bracket. Let's assume Curly for the sake of argument, because you would have AL playing G2. I assume you have AL winning that.
Oh, big time.
You would then. Hang on, I gotta switch around.
Then it would be AL facing T1.
It would be AL facing T1.
I think T1 wins that.
Okay, T1 beats AL.
Yes.
Interesting. These are all fascinating. In a world,
and it would be
okay. So check this out. Actually, in a world where we beat AL and then lose to Gen G, we would play the winner of Flying Oyster and MKOI.
And so we'd face MKOI. And then when we beat MKOI, we'd face T1.
In lower bracket
and that
round 3.
Would be great. That would be so fun. And I can't wait to have the rematch against Gen G in round 4 after we beat T1.
Jeez. That's... Boy.
Okay, that one might be a bit too spicy. I'm going to be honest. If we face T1 in round 3...
Do you guys think we beat T1 in round 2? Is there a world where that happens?
No, because... Okay, hold on. If you're going with your version of the bracket, yes. Because I think we make round 3. No matter what way we do it, we make round 3. I am insane, but I am free.
Unbothered, moisturized, in your lane, flourishing.
Actually, right. I've been roaming quite a bit in ranked. My ADCs have been annoyed with.
Watch out. All right, I think that's a good place to end the show. It's going to be a fascinating tournament for sure, but I think this is where we leave you all. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into yet another great and fantastic episode of Flight Check. FlyQuest plays Wednesday night. It's going to be a banger. 8 o'clock on the dot. You can see it. 8 p.m. Eastern time, that is. You're going to want to follow us on Twitter for all of our reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_WQ_. If you missed any part of this episode, you can catch the VOD on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. But you should also hop into the Discord, Flight Check Discord, all kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. If you're watching this right now and want to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Curly, final notes, shoutouts, or plugs before we wrap up.
I mean, no matter what happens, I think this might be the most excited I've been for an MSI ever. I think it's just very entertaining right off the bat, and I think it's going to keep up that energy no matter how everything goes. So, and I do actually like how swift it's kind of going. It's like never losing engagement there. I had a great shout out earlier today, and I completely forgot it. So yeah, right. You know what? Oh, did I already shout? No, I did shout out K-pop Demon Hunters last week, so I can't do that one.
You did.
Ah, shoot. You know what? I'm gonna shout out the dude that helped me get into my car when I locked my keys in the trunk yesterday. You're a real one for that one.
Woo!
Good job.
Knox, any
Thank you.
shout outs or plugs?
Plug, I will be doing a watch party in the FlyQuest Discord on Wednesday for our match versus AL. So if you want to come hang out with me, I will be in the FlyQuest Discord, and I will be streaming the match, and I'll be chilling and chatting and just hanging out, having a good time.
Trash.
And talking trash, hyping the boys up, having a good old time in general. So if you want to do that, come on down. Outside of that, I bought some IMAX tickets to go see F1 in theaters next weekend or next week. So I'm very excited for that.
That does sound good. That sounds like a banger. That sounds like a banger. My shout out is going to be to my wife, who just texted me asking what I want for McDonald's.
Hey!
You know, we're about to...
Hold on, wait. What's the Mickey D's orders, Sandy?
I
gotta
asked
know.
for a McDouble and a spicy McChicken.
Okay.
It's my go-to. I'm spending less than $5 order. So
Do you ever do the McNuggets at all ever?
I don't like McDonald's nuggets.
See, okay, I don't. Okay, look, hot take maybe, but I don't like them either, and everyone gives me shit for it.
They're bad.
I don't like McNuggets.
They're not good. They're simply not good. If you want good nuggets, you go to Wendy's. That's where you go.
Yes, sir! Sandy. This is why we're friends, Sandy. This is why we're friends.
No, you go to Taco Bell. That's where you.
Okay,
that is if you just got out of the gym and you don't have a protein shake ready to go. You go to Taco Bell and you have those 25 gram of protein per serving chicken nuggies. And
wait, why are they so high in protein? What?
I don't know what they are injecting those poor birds with. Steroids, I think.
Oh
frankly. No. This is not actual medical advice or information. Please do not take it from me. So that's my shout out, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And with that, we will be back next week to obviously praise FlyQuest for how they dispatched all of MSI single-handedly as they get ready to take on, BLG in winners finals next week. Duh. We'll be back next week to discuss that. So for now, stay safe out there and bite your teeth. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.